Chapter 1815 Trojan Invasion. As long as Zhang Yi's door cannot be opened, Zhang Yi's combat effectiveness will drop by more than 70%. Demon God Ding stayed in the alien space for more than 2 minutes. Zhang Yi just kept observing him quietly until Demon God Ding was about to detonate the alien space, and then Zhang Yi finally took action. The space where he was suddenly cracked, and a huge metal box fell from the sky, falling silently in the area that could be called the bottom of the space. Demon God Ding's attention was immediately attracted, but all this could not stop his next move. He would not be led by Zhang Yi. As long as this space was detonated, the situation of the battle would be reversed immediately. And he was not worried that this metal box was Zhang Yi's means of attack. Zhang Yi's attack could not cause fatal damage to him. "I'm coming." Zhang Yi's voice suddenly rang in Demon God Ding's ears. In an instant, Demon God Ding was immediately on full alert, waiting for the attack that could come at any time. The next moment, a meteor shower fell in the space where he was. There were countless black energy bombs, among which were special bullets, shield breaker spear that could destroy his defense field. The centipede armor swirled around the body of Demon God Ding, wrapping his body tightly. His hand was very fast, and the long spear swirled, isolating a piece of heaven and earth above his head, blocking all attacks with the most fierce posture. At this moment, the metal box that Zhang Yi threw into the other dimensional space suddenly appeared with a strange blue light. Demon God Ding suddenly realized that something was wrong because a signal was invading his body from the outside. Zhang Yi quietly waited for things to change, because from now on, the battlefield is already a place that his naked eyes cannot see. In the shadow space, Yang Xinxin manipulated the huge supercomputer screen in front of him, and various complex codes on it flashed back and forth in multiple overlapping code boxes. 3 years after the end of the world, many people have forgotten that Yang Xinxin's most praised ability is her ability as a world-class hacker. Later, the firewall of the entire shelter was built by her. With her in charge, no one could invade the shelter through the internet. In the war against aliens, hackers' abilities are hard to be used. But what if the opponent is a robot? Even if the core is still a living body but the whole body is transformed into a machine, it must rely on a computer to operate. Maybe the mechanical civilization has other names for computers, but in essence, they are all core devices that replace the human brain and perform a lot of operations. No matter how hard the outside is, as long as the core is hacked by hackers, it will inevitably collapse. This is why Yang Xinxin has been sitting in front of the computer every day for so long. The first step is to decipher the mechanical language of the mechanical civilization, that is, the code. The second step is to figure out the operating mechanism of this machine by studying superlarge mechanical life forms and the demon god Gui. The third step is to make a Trojan horse and wait for an opportunity to start invading. The more complex and sophisticated something is, the easier it is to reveal flaws. The demon gods of the mechanical civilization are all advanced technological products, so invading it and interfering with it, there is no need to even plug in devices such as USB flash drives. Just a signal transmitter is enough. The next time is the battlefield between Yang Xinxin and Zhang Yi. The core center of the demon god Ding was invaded by external electronic signals and immediately issued an alarm. But he chose to enter Zhang Yi's space, and it was difficult to escape at this time. The key is that Zhang Yi is also in the position of God's perspective, constantly harassing with various means of attack. Demon God Ding has no way to deal with the battle outside while letting the central system fight with Yang Xinxin's Trojan. In Yang Xinxin's eyes, this world is no longer a complicated code, but a huge space belonging to electronic signals. She walked in it, and the Trojan she made became the most powerful weapon in her hand. The defense mechanism in Demon God Ding's body is very powerful, and he immediately began to counterattack her. The counterattack came like a storm, and the strict anti-invasion mechanism made this defense look almost flawless. The civilization beyond the times has done very well in this field. However, it has flaws after all. In terms of computing power, the core of the supercomputer used by Yang Xinxin was taken from demon god Gui, and after Liu Karen's improvement, even if it is not as good as the new body of demon god Ding, the difference is at least not too huge. Zhang Yi continued to put pressure on Demon God Ding from the outside. The defense mechanism was not powerful enough, and soon the flaws became bigger and bigger. Yang Xinxin pressed on step by step, and her 10 fingers flew nimbly on the keyboard. In the world of code, she was like a queen, commanding the Trojan army and launching a fierce attack on Demon God Ding's control center. Demon God Ding's eyes changed, sometimes confused and sometimes clear. What happened today was finally beyond his control. Human beings, as creatures, not only learned how to use their weapons, but also learned their mechanical language and even created supercomputers with computing power not inferior to theirs. In Demon God Ding's mind, the system alarm sounded more and more urgent, and he finally felt the crisis of death.
Boom.
He finally chose to ignite a red energy crystal, and the violent energy exploded directly inside Zhang Yi's alien space. But Zhang Yi had been prepared. So at the moment of the energy explosion, he chose to throw the demon god Gui directly out of the alien space. Even though he was fully prepared, this powerful energy impact still shattered more than a dozen of his dimensional doors. Zhang Yi raised his double guns skillfully. Party time. Although I don't know what effect Demon God Ding's time ability has, it is enough to harass him from a far enough distance to ensure that he cannot concentrate on resisting Liu Karen's invasion. The black energy bombs mixed with the shield-breaking spears attacked Demon God Ding like a rainstorm. The strength of the two was originally on par with each other. Originally, neither of them could do anything to the other, and they could only hope to make the other reveal a flaw through a fierce battle. However, the joining of Yang Xinxin was a fatal blow to Demon God Ding as an artificial man. It's like when two aliens of similar strength are fighting, suddenly a powerful illusionist appears next to the other person and invades your brain. Although this kind of influence will not cause Demon God Ding to really lose control of his body, it will more or less affect him and prevent him from focusing on the battle with Zhang Yi. Sometimes, it doesn't take a huge weight to affect the balance of the scale. A straw is enough.
What?
More, Yang Xinxin is the top genius in the human world in the field of computers. Breakthrough. Yang Xinxin opened her cherry lips. Her voice was indifferent, but with a hint of unquestionableness, and she firmly pronounced the outcome. The world in Yang Xinxin's eyes was a huge palace made up of information flows. This was her domain, and programs that ran according to established rules were bound to have loopholes. When cracks were blasted into the body of Demon God Ding by Zhang Yi, it was the opportunity for her to implant the Trojan horse. This invasion also achieved the best effect when Zhang Yi attacked Demon God Ding. Demon God Ding had to do his best to resist Zhang Yi's attack, but suddenly, he realized that he had lost control of his right arm. Warning, warning. The system has been invaded from the outside and has lost control of the upper right limb. Demon God Ding was shocked. He knew that continuing to fight now would be disadvantageous to him. It was at this moment that he made a decision in his heart to escape from here at all costs. And that price is all the mechanical life forms here. Demon God Ding immediately issued orders to all the mechanical life forms around him to come and cover his escape. The battles on various battlefields were very stalemate at this time, and the fight was hard to separate. But after receiving the order, the eyes of all the mechanical life forms emitted red light, which looked extremely weird. They no longer cared about the enemies next to them, but gathered towards the location of Demon God Ding regardless of everything. Even if the aliens behind them attacked them, they would rather bear the risk of being destroyed and go to support Demon God Ding. Zhang Yi noticed Demon God Ding's intention to escape, and his heart was also touched. This is different from Demon God Gui in this way. Demon God Gui would only execute orders rigidly and would not leave the battlefield until he was destroyed. But obviously, Demon God Ding is a higher-level existence. In midair, two super-large mechanical life forms were destroyed by Liu Karen and Hua, and 3 others were also damaged to varying degrees. But now they have given up the enemy and quickly flew towards Zhang Yi. A dazzling red light burst out from the battleship, and a terrifying energy beam was released at Zhang Yi. An attack with overloaded energy. Zhang Yi frowned, stretched out his hand, and used Sinluo Wanxiang to directly block their joint attack. He could not dodge, otherwise he would give Demon God Ding a chance. Opportunities are always fleeting. If Demon God Ding is allowed to escape, then with the technological level of mechanical civilization, he will definitely be more fully prepared for the next battle. By that time, Zhang Yi will not have so many trump cards to deal with him. So this time, he must win. Boom! Zhang Yi took a hit from two super aerial battleships. The dimensional gate shook, but he finally resisted. Snow Owl and Huahua attacked from behind. Lu Kenan operated the main gun to aim at the battleship and bombarded it. Huahua's high-energy particle beam cannon also accurately hit another battleship. In order to cover the Demon God Ding, they concentrated all their energy on the main gun to attack Zhang Yi, so they were injured from the back at this time, and the damage was very serious. This did buy Demon God Ding a glimmer of hope. He forcibly aimed his ability at his arm, and the next moment, Yang Xinxin only felt that the code she had invaded into the mechanical arm was reset to 0. But she did not hesitate at all. All this was within expectations. Having had successful experience, she quickly began to break through other parts of the Demon God Ding's body. God's domain purification. Zhang Yi's attack also fell like a violent storm. It was impossible to defend against a divine realm purifying move in advance. Before Zhang Yi called out his name, he had already released his skill, which had a strong confusing effect. Demon God Ding's body was severely squeezed, and the heavy centipede armor metal rubbed against each other. Sparks flew. Then, Zhang Yi fired both guns at the same time, and at a distance of 5 kilometers, the gunfire formed two continuous black light rains, covering Demon God Ding's whole body, without stopping for a moment. Demon God Ding wanted to escape, but he couldn't dodge at all. No matter how fast he moved, Zhang Yi's bullets would be waiting for him at the next moment. Wait for him. Warning, warning. The left forelimb has lost control. The alarm sounded again, and Demon God Ding's scalp was numb, because Zhang Yi also used the power of God's domain purification on him again at the same time. The inside and outside of Demon God Ding's body became a battlefield. Being forced into a corner, he burned the third red energy crystal. Zhang Yi felt very painful, because these were originally his things. Having said that, he was too close at this time, so he had to choose to burn the red energy crystal as well and collide. The terrifying energy swept in all directions. Demon God Ding gained temporary peace in this way, but there was no way to stop the spread of the Trojan horse in his body. Besides, Zhang Yi would not give him a chance to deal with the Trojan horse. So far, he has used 3 red energy crystals. Although this consumption is not too much for him, if he continues, he may not even be able to withstand the head-on confrontation with Zhang Yi. In the shadow space, Yang Xinxin's eyes gradually became dark, like 2 black gems, flashing a cold light. Success, she said coldly. The next moment, while Demon God Ding was still thinking about how to break the situation, his face was suddenly hit by a powerful force. This is... He looked to the left in astonishment. It was not someone else who attacked him, but his own left arm. The opponent not only made his body out of control, but also controlled part of his body. The Trojan horse is an illusion used on artificial people. This attack was too sudden, and Demon God Ding's cheek was shattered by his own arm, and his body lost balance in midair. Zhang Yi would not give him a chance to repair. The divine refining in his hand turned into a huge sniper cannon, aiming at the direction where he was, and outputting at full power. There was a thunderous roar, followed by a dark cannon that cast a shadow on the whole world, pointing directly at Demon God Ding's unbalanced body. The opportunity only lasted for a moment, and Demon God Ding was the most vulnerable at this moment. He raised his right hand with all his strength and blocked the long spear in front of him, releasing a powerful defensive force field. This attack turned the world in front of him into complete darkness, and even the defensive force field began to become unstable. However, before he could breathe a sigh of relief, the left arm was raised again, and another fierce punch was aimed at his face. The force of this blow was so great that it almost smashed his head off his neck. Zhang Yi seized this opportunity, and the divine refining in his hand quickly transformed into countless silver vines, rushing towards the body of demon god Ding like a group of snakes. They climbed on the body of the demon god, entangled every piece of the body like a maggot, and then suddenly exerted force to tear it apart. Demon god Ding wanted to use force to break these vines, but his left hand, like an impact drill, began to attack his body ruthlessly and continuously. The damage to his body became more and more serious, and the core system in his body was doing its best to resist the invasion of Yang Xinxin's Trojan horse. However, the battle situation had begun to develop in a direction that he could not control. Even Zhang Yi's divine, refining vines were not something he could easily break free of, because the divine refining had already integrated the weapon material of the demon god Gui, which was the same material as his body, greatly enhancing the strength of the divine refining. Combined with the toughness and regeneration ability of the sword in the tree, once entangled, it will completely fall into the endless hell of vines. It's time to end. Zhang Yi controlled the sword in the tree and increased the output of supernatural power to the maximum. He and Yang Xinxin completed the most tacit operation. The sword in the tree tore the body of the demon god Ding. Yang Xinxin controlled his left hand and suddenly pinched his chin. Two completely different forces suddenly broke out. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of metal twisting continued to come, and the twisted neck of the demon god Ding, which had been bombarded by his left arm, suddenly began to be torn apart. In his eyes, the data flow was completely chaotic at this time, and white light burst out from his body. At the last moment, he still tried to use his ability to reverse the time of the area around him. Time and space countercurrent. A low voice sounded above and behind him. In an instant, he felt that the power in his body suddenly poured out as if someone had opened a big hole in his body. Time and space countercurrent. What is reversed is not time, but the opponent's ability. Return it to its original energy form. The attack of the dying demon god Ding was directly wiped out by Zhang Yi. Bang! With a loud bang, his head was pulled off his neck. It is hard to imagine how hard his body is. Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin worked together and took great effort to do it. Zhang Yi was not careless at all, because this was not a simple creature, but a man-made man. Even if the head and body were separated, he still posed a strong threat. The divine vines completely covered his body. Xinxin, take control of his torso first. Got it. It will be done soon. Yang Xinxin quickly operated the Trojan horse to invade. The center of the demon god is in the head. After losing the head, the torso's resistance to Yang Xinxin's invasion is even worse. But even so, Zhang Yi could still feel the body struggling violently. While controlling the torso of the demon god Ding, Zhang Yi did not forget his head. That was his real body, and it was also the core of the spirit of the sacrifice. Zhang Yi separated hundreds of vines and grabbed the head that was about to fall in midair. Without a body, demon god Ding could no longer resist Zhang Yi's power. Although he was still desperately trying to break Zhang Yi's divine vines, this kind of thing can regenerate continuously. It can't kill Zhang Yi unless he dies. Soon, demon god Ding's head was wrapped into a huge sphere. Zhang Yi didn't hesitate at all. He could feel that demon god Ding's torso began to struggle violently. This was a counterattack before death. He looked at the sphere in the air and activated the power of the divine realm again. This time, the broken head was directly twisted and almost squeezed into a twisted metal ball. Not long after, Yang Xinxin completely controlled demon god Ding's body. Seeing that it had regained its calm, Zhang Yi was worried and put it into his own space first. Then he took demon god Ding's head over. Xinxin, do it. Zhang Yi gave Yang Xinxin a look, and Yang Xinxin certainly understood what this meant. Her Angel of Desire ability was activated, and the six-winged angel appeared behind her. 3 pairs of wings, black, red, and blue, represent original sin, love, and punishment. The red wings were taken off and turned into arrows in the hands of the Angel of Desire, shooting at the head of the demon god Ding. The arrow effortlessly shot into the head of the demon god Ding and entered his core. However, Yang Xinxin sighed immediately afterwards. He is dead.
Dead.
Zhang Yi frowned and looked at the twisted head. The android only retained a part of the origin as a proof of carbon-based biology, his sacrificial spirit, and the rest was transformed into machinery. So, what does his death mean? Yang Xinxin said, "We are a step slow. He is very smart and guessed that we intend to use him to investigate everything about mechanical civilization. So he achieved death in the biological sense." Yang Xinxin pointed to the brain. That is, he deleted all his memories. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and said, "Is it the same as the previous demon god Goe?" Yang Xinxin nodded and said, "That's right. For an android who only retains a little biological attribute, deleting his own memory is equivalent to death. Human memory can be stored in many places, even if it is just the internal organs and limbs, some human memories will be retained. This is why some people will have obvious personality changes after organ transplantation. But artificial people obviously will not. They are already the product of the transformation of carbon-based organisms to silicon-based organisms, and whether they still retain their humanity is a question. This is a pity because if they can be captured alive, it is clear that information about mechanical civilization can be obtained. Knowing all their secrets will help in the next battle." Zhang Yi took a deep breath. It's finally over. This battle was really hard. He wiped the sweat from his forehead. I have to admit that the powerful ability shown by Demon God Ding before made him a little nervous. If they hadn't made sufficient preparations before coming and used Demon God Goe's body to upgrade their equipment, it would be hard to say what this battle would be like. Zhang Yi took out the energy core from Demon God Goe, which was a more advanced sacrificial spirit. Zhang Yi gave the thing to Yang Xinxin as agreed, and personally placed it in her palm. "Xinxin, this is for you," Zhang Yi said with a smile, but it was too late to be sentimental now. He said, "Okay, it's time to clean up the battlefields." After that, he asked Mu Yan to take Yang Xinxin into the shadow space, and then rushed to the battlefield without stopping to help others with the finishing work. Yang Xinxin stood in the shadow space, holding the energy core in her hand, with a smile on her lips. "Become Ypsilon?" She picked up the small core. It was very light, but the workmanship was extremely exquisite, integrating the science and technology of an era of civilization. "Then give it a try." She was not very interested in becoming stronger. Even if she did not have any superpowers, she believed that she was the most important helper around Zhang Yi. But since it was Zhang Yi's request, she was willing to try it out and see what it would be like to become a higher-level life.